Hey guys, it's Dan. Welcome back to the Nerdy Dad blog again. This time I will be reviewing the Winston Zeddemore from the Mattel Classic Ghostbusters line. I know I did a casual review last time, but I figured you weren't able to see much of the details as I did with the other reviews. So I figured I might as well do a better review, and so here we go. So the most distinguishable feature from this particular figure from the line is Winston Zeddemore's face. I mean, the face is just so stylized and so keeping with the character of Winston Zeddemore. I mean, he always had this sarcastic grin to him, somewhat of a smirk. It's the confident smile to him, and I think this really captures that. I think this is just a great representation of his face and his character and the type of smile that he would have after he would tell a joke, or after he would listen or humor the other Ghostbusters guys. I really love this head sculpt. I think it is a great head sculpt, and I think it's just a great addition to the Ghostbusters Classics line. I think he's just an underrated character from the Ghostbusters franchise. So, in keeping with the motif of the Ghostbusters line, the classic line, this particular figure also pays homage to the old Ghostbusters line from the 90s, the real Ghostbusters Mattel line, in that it almost has the same scale, where the original scale was about 5 inches, but the silhouette is very similar to the old Ghostbusters line. And I will make a video to make the comparison later on, but in keeping with that thought, this silhouette, this body sculpt, adds some different features to that particular line. So the added features are, and as demanded by modern collectors, everybody wants posable, articulated toys nowadays. So this particular toy, this action figure, has 20 points of articulation, and that's 5 times more than the 4 points of articulation the original toys had, the original Mattel Ghostbusters had from the early 90s. Now, in my opinion, this particular figure, and I've said this in the earlier videos, this figure shares some realistic and cartoony elements within it. I'm not sure if they're intentional, but I can explain further. So I'm not sure if Mattel attempted to completely make all of the Ghostbusters as realistic as possible, but I think in my perception, in paying tribute to the original figures, they've also made a hybrid figure as well. So what they really did is they meshed the best of the cartoony elements, and the face is pretty realistic, but not so realistic, whereas in contrast to like a Hot Toys or a Sideshow Collectibles. And I'm just sharing my opinion here. I think that what they did, whether intentional or unintentional, should be applauded, because I think that what they really created was just an outstanding action figure. Here's the side view of the figure. Really, really awesome. If you take a step back, and this is on the dashboard of my car, if you're wondering where I'm at. Uh, if you take a step back, he looks really, really realistic, and just a great silhouette and representation of the original Ghostbusters movies. If you take a step forward, he just looks a little more cartoony, and you could kind of see the elements of the old toy lines within this particular figure. And maybe I'm reaching here, but I really think that that's what they're attempting to do with this line. If you look at the backpack, the wires, they painted them different colors to represent the different wires and all the energy that it takes to power such a energy consuming proton pack. And it is a really cool detail to add. Of course, they don't look like they're individually painted, but they did what they could, and I think it's just a great detail. You could see the monitor over here on the top. On the side, you can see where you could hang the proton gun. Just really well sculpted. You have the elbow pads, and those are very well sculpted. You see the logo on the back, their stamp, which I'm not really fond of, but I just try to not look around that area. And then you see the boots. The slacks or the jumpsuit is tucked into the boots, and Winston Zeddemore, Ray Stantz, and Egon all share that same particular style. Peter Venkman is actually the only one who does not have his slacks tucked into his boots. So a slight difference there, and great homage to the original movie. This has 20 points of articulation, and here's another view from the other side. You can see more of a smile from this side, and then you could also see the logo, which is really cool. And I said from previous movies, the way you could tell between a Ghostbusters 1 and 2 movie is Rowan, who is the name of the ghost within the logo, will be holding up a 2 sign for the second Ghostbusters movie, and he will just have a surprise face, or the iconic face, for the original Ghostbusters movie. So, in keeping with what I've explained, this particular figure has 20 points of articulation, just about, give or take. Let me see here if I can get this to. There you go. Okay, so has 1 at the head, and then he just turns left to right. He can't move his head up and down. The only particular figure that can do that is the Ray Stantz figure. So I think all the other figures can't do that, and if I find out, I will shoot another video and show you guys. There's a double joint on the shoulder, ball joint and a swivel joint, so you can move it up and down, left to right, 360. There's a double joint within the elbow, so you got a ball joint and a swivel joint, so you could move the forearm 360 up and down. And then there's a joint on the wrist, which is you can only turn it 360. You can't move it up and down like the Marvel Legends figures. And then both arms share the same type of joints, same exact joints, just a different sculpt on the hand for the grip of the proton gun. And then you have a joint in the waist, so you could turn the waist 360 if you'd like. Double joints at the hips, so you got the double joint. You got a ball joint at this hip, a ball joint at that hip, and then you could articulate his leg all the way to the side and in front and back, and then you got joints at the knees. So you got up and down, and then you also have joints at the boot, so you could turn that 360, and joints at the ankle, which you could slightly move up and down. Let me try to pose them here for you. Come on. There you go. Okay. So, all in all, oops. Oh no. So all in all, I give this particular figure a 9.5 out of 10. Really my favorite figure out of the line, just because of the sculpt of the face. I really think it's a great representation, and each one of these figures are just awesome. I mean, if you love Ghostbusters, you'll love this line. And I think that's it. I also have the video for all of the Ghostbusters and the Build-A-Figure Rowan. That will be up, whether it's before this or after this, I'm not sure, but I think I will have that up soon. All right, thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Please like or subscribe if you like my videos.